The Miro link. That'd be wonderful. For those that are new to this, in fact, I'm just going to mute people quickly just because I'm hearing a bit of background noise. 1 moment.
Hi, it's me again, I think.
Hello. Who just joins? But yeah, I'm just gonna mute you guys quickly. Welcome to the Agile Arcade. For those of you that haven't been before, imagine yourself in an arcade, one of those virtual, well, not even virtual, a real arcade where you used to go and spend your money on games. And that might be Pac-Man, it might be Street Fighter, whatever it was. It might even be those pucks and that hockey where the puck kind of floats along the surface with some sort of levitation powers. Anyway, imagine that scenario, except with Agile games. And a lot of the other Agile game meetups I've been to, they often just have a single game in mind to be played, whereas I tend to aspire for these arcades to be multiple games. You get to choose, and you have the power here to spend your tokens and choose the game most appropriate to you, or the one that you're most keen on playing. Every few weeks, the games tend to refresh a little bit. When games don't get played, they remain on the arcades to be selected again. We've got 6 people tonight, so we should be able to get through some games in an interesting way. Now, how it works, for anyone who hasn't used Miro before, make sure you press V on your keyboards or press the little blue cursor on the left-hand navigation panel of Miro. That will allow you to select and interact with the board. At the top of your screen as well, next to your own name, there's a little diagonal arrow and a couple of dashes. That will allow you to hide other collaborators' cursors if they get in the way. But before we start, we need to run through the games on offer today. So if anyone has any questions, do bring yourself off mute and just chip in. But we've got 5 games on offer today. We've got The Broken Message. This is essentially a game all about communication. Imagine a virtual version of Chinese whispers. It involves a bit of drawing. It's usually fun for a team, and it's all about emphasizing good communication and shared understanding of what something means. I'm going to share the link again. Yes, Sebastian, give me just a moment. Unless someone wouldn't mind pasting that in there. My mute button is being a little bit slow. There we go. Thank you, Daniel. So yeah, if you jump on that link, Sebastian, that will allow you to see the board. I'm just going to bring everyone to where I am right now. We are here. Now, as the game's on offer, Broken Message. That's a game about communication, a bit like Chinese Whispers. We've got a game of circles. This is a bit of a Scrum simulation where you go through various rounds of doing something to simulate Scrum, and there's opportunities for retrospective, there's opportunities for that sort of thing. So it's a good way to introduce Scrum or remind people of good Scrum practices. We've got Sinking Ships, a Prioritization Dilemma. It's all about prioritization, as it says, quite simple there. We've got Paint Your Points, which is around agile estimation, and the Virtual Name Game, which is all about context switching and multitasking, and the importance of not doing it too much. So what I'd like you guys to do is choose the games you most want to play by dragging and dropping these little coins. This is you spending your virtual coin. I'd like you to drag and drop them onto the game you're most keen to play. If anyone has any questions about any of the games, do flag so now, do ask. But otherwise, vote away. Everyone gets 2 coins each, and the game which gets the most votes is the one we'll play first. Welcome, Chris. I can see you've just joined, by the way. I'm just going to share the Miro link once more, Chris, so you can jump on board. Just a reminder for anyone trying to select these coins, just make sure you've pressed V on your keyboard, and then it's just simply a left click on your mouse or cursor, and you'll be able to drag something across. Two votes each, everyone. I see 7 votes so far, so someone's forgotten to vote a second time. And we've got 7 people on the Miro board, so we should be seeing 14 votes ideally. Right, so we've got 3 for Game of Circles, 3 for an Agile Estimation game, 3 for Prioritization Dilemma. We're a little bit split, so there's a couple more votes to come in. Well, Prioritization Dilemma has just taken the lead, tied with Paint points. Okay, so those are the 2 I think we're likely to be playing today. So a Prioritization Dilemma. We'll do that one first if nobody objects. I'm just going to bring everyone to where we need to be. If you click, by the way, next to, basically there's a little joystick next to Prioritization Dilemma and there's a little arrow next to it. If you click that, it should take you to the place we need to be on the board. Chris, just checking because I haven't heard from you yet. Are you able to find the Murray link at all?
Yes.
Yep. So everyone...
I was having...
So everyone should be here. So before we play any game, we always start by just checking in and understanding what people's current understanding around the topic is. So what I'd like you guys to do is, using these post-it notes here, and the ones I'm moving around, if you double-click a post-it note, you can type inside it. I'd like to hear what good practices you've seen for prioritizing a backlog, and then also what challenges you faced when working to a backlog or trying to get a backlog prioritized. Again, this is just set the context a little bit, getting us thinking about prioritization. So just a reminder, double-clicking a post-it note allows you to type. We'll have just a couple minutes just reflecting on what good practices we've seen for prioritizing a backlog and what challenges we've faced when working to get a backlog prioritized. Just going to give it another minute or so. So far around good practices, having it based on impacts, the RICE technique, WSJF, so weighted shortest job first. We've got Moscow as another technique of prioritization, focusing on business value or business value poker, impact mapping, story mapping, having a high-level MVP. And on the challenges side of things, we've got a backlog that's too big. We've got basing things on gut feeling rather than data by the sounds of it. Changing the mindset from output to outcomes, conflicting opinions, different priorities in the organization. MVP, maximum volume programs. Yeah, I've definitely seen that. I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding as to what MVP means sometimes. Company politics get in the way, so that the traditional hippos, the highest paid person's opinion, influencing things. A lack of prioritization. Frequent changing priorities and a lack of metrics. Lots of different challenges there with regards to prioritization. So we're going to go into the game. We have, if I just double check numbers wise, we've got 7 people, that include me, so we've got 6 people to play this game. A couple of people have disappeared. So the way this game works is it's all about prioritization. I think I've just what have we done there? Okay. Yeah, so we don't need to organize you into a team because there's not enough to have multiple split teams. So you're all in the same team. You're going to be moved towards your own space where you as a team will be navigating to that collaborative space, and you'll be given a brief by myself. So I'm going to let you know how you're going to be doing it. So as a group, you'll be needing to look at the value that different people bring. So there's a list of people that you need to save. And you as a group will need to decide which ones to save first. And after we've played the game, we'll discuss a little bit about prioritization. So I'm going to bring you guys to the space. I'll bring everyone here. I said this is called Sinking Ships. So there's this group of celebrities. They're all on this COVID-safe, socially distanced cruise in the Bahamas. Lucky people. But then they struck a rock, not an iceberg in this situation. They struck a rock and they're beginning to sink. So you, the group, you are the closest people to the water rescue team. You've got the opportunity to save some of these people, but you can't save all of them. There just isn't enough. And you can only you're limited to one rescue boat. So you can save one person at a time. And they're so far out to sea or so far away from a safe coast to drop them off at that it takes a minute to rescue each person. So you guys need to look at that group of people and as a team agree the order which you save them, and then you need to start rescuing them. So once you've started prioritizing these celebrities, once you've agreed that order, put them on that using the post-it notes there. Put the name of the person and the time you've saved them at. You're going to be given 8 minutes for this activity, so you cannot save everyone. Are there any questions?
That's good.
Are there any questions? Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Some people may not want to save some of the people there. Some people might think a certain person is absolutely essential to be saved. It's down to you guys to agree as a group. There's going to be conflicting opinions, and that's okay, but it's down to what you guys agree. Are there any questions at all before we start? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a timer for 8 minutes. Just as a reminder, you can't save all of them, and it takes a minute to save each person. So what you need to do is agree your order, agree the people you should be saving, and the time you've saved them at. You have 8 minutes. So I'm going to reset. I'm going to start the timer. Over to you. Go.
I was muted, but I don't get the time column.
So there's a timer that's going to be counting down. You've got 8 minutes. That timer counting down. What you need to do is make a note of the time you saved that person at.
Okay, time during this 8-minute time box.
Yes. So for example, let's say
Okay.
let's hypothetically, with 5 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock, you agree number 4 is going to be a person, and that's what the time you note down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. I'll start the timer now. Over to you.
Oh, surely the Dalai Lama's got to be first.
Who's gonna be the first?
I'm fine with that. I second that.
Let's save Trump. Otherwise, the world will be too boring. We need some fun.
It would
on
be
the Dalai
nice.
Lama first, right?
You know, it'd probably be easier to do if we agree on some criteria, like what are the success metrics,
or what is important for us, what kind of outcomes we want to reach if those people are still alive, what we want to do in the world.
I don't even know who Betty White is.
I would say that we would probably need like muscle and strength to, swim.
You've got a rescue boat, remember? It's not about swimming. You've got a rescue boat.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is like a petrol rescue boat. I don't need the muscle.
No, we can save if we like, but we're gonna do one at a time.
Yeah.
Has anybody else got somebody who thinks definitely should be saved? Because I can think of several that I really don't care about.
we need to agree on this impact.
And that's being very harsh on Lionel Richie. I can only apologise to Lionel.
Maybe we should reverse the strategy and agree what people we don't want to rescue.
I would argue that we are over a minute into saving the second person right now, and so let's pick our top people, even if we don't agree that they're the very, very top, as long as we feel like they're in the top 7.
And guys, we are wasting time already. We just
pick one each.
Let's save somebody. We are wasting time currently. We will save very less. We will not agree.
Who's our second person?
Yeah, we can take one each and just get it done.
Output or outcome?
So everyone can choose?
Why not? We've got plenty of time. We've got 6 or 7 or something. As long as we can see who it is that's going in where.
So you've only got time to save 5 more people now.
Mm-hmm.
So who have we got now? How many are we down to?
Like I think we are like depleted of our slots. So number 8 is like, you know, over the limit. I don't know if it's like...
Yeah. So no one's in number 5. Does that move number 6?
So anybody that is guest, please stop typing. Basically.
Oh no, we haven't saved Ronaldo, have we?
Jeff, I don't know if Jeff is like a good save. I heard that Jeff like currently makes more harm to the Scrum and Agile than especially his book title, like twice the work in half the time. This is like source of infinite.
Sets the wrong expectations, right?
Yeah.
Do we want to move Sutherland out then?
We don't. I don't. This is like, you know, I think at this like time we have to like you know, we will rescue like less people because of it. I think, if I understand the rules.
Yeah. So we're at 312, and at 308 we get that next person in the boat. Is Sutherland it? Okay, we didn't make a decision fast enough, so he's in it. So we have until 2.08 to decide if Cristiano Ronaldo is our next person. Does everyone agree?
Tough choice.
Yeah. What? Who is like Naruhito? Who is Naruhito?
I don't.
Is he like a Chinese government official that, you know, tortures people or something like that?
Emperor of Japan.
Okay. So I like pretty much Japan. I think it's like peaceful country. Like, you know, not counting Pearl Harbor or something like that.
Yeah. Are you thinking he should be moved up, or are we okay with number 5?
Yeah. I rather have Naruhito than like Cristiano Ronaldo. I think Cristiano Ronaldo is like, you know.
We kind of didn't make that decision fast enough.
Yep. So you've now only got the time to save 2 people.
Yeah. So is Naruhito next, or is it Cristiano?
Because Dalai Lama is like saved. There's like second Dalai Lama.
Dalai Lama was saved first. I heard his name. I put him in.
Yeah, but this is like 14th Dalai Lama.
Right, so
this is
as things are going, you've only got time to save Naruhito now. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
It's hard, you know, to choose because you know, it's.
So we lost 3 possible lives.
Lost 3 possible lives, yeah, and everyone else
from this group.
Sadly,
from this group, I would say nothing of value was lost.
Harsh.
Wow.
Mommy not to go on a cruise with you lot.
Okay, so it's the end. It's basically the end of the rounds. So let's just explore. What were the criteria you guys were using to do your prioritization?
I'm not sure we had one.
Who was louder?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely heard more of a who was loudest first.
Who has more charisma?
Or who just
Who typed?
who spoke
Who
up? Who
typed
spoke
quicker?
up at all? Who spoke up at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so we heard
So
courage. The person who shouted loudest, the person who spoke up, who was fine vocalizing something. What else? I mean, why did you choose Dalai Lama first? That was kind of
somebody.
That was unanimous. Everyone seemed to kind of gravitate towards him.
It just seemed the most worthy of the candidates, really.
Okay, so there was a selection based on worthiness. What determines someone's worthiness?
Dalai Lama's case is humanity, I guess, more than anything. For me, personally.
All right, so why don't we think about some people who weren't selected? So Donald Trump not even written down. Pretty common when this game's played. Betty White sometimes is very high up on people's rankings.
I didn't know she was, if I'm honest.
Betty White, famous American chef, I believe.
Actress.
Okay. Oh, actress. I thought she was also. She was not a chef.
I don't think so.
No,
I think she's
Am I mixing up with someone else? Am I mixing up with someone else? Who am I thinking of?
She's like, granny next door, I would say. Something like that.
All right.
She's on the Golden Girls.
Very likable person. Okay. How about, there was a bit of conflict about Cristiano. Why is that?
I because, Cristiano is like useless for the humanity.
But
basically.
But he provides joy to millions. He's an idol to millions of children.
Yeah.
I think he brings joy to himself most of the time, and that's part of it.
Yeah. And he's partner.
Right? Why was Ariana Grande second?
Young, I suppose.
She was.
Okay, by the same criteria, young. Why was Emma Watson so low down?
Yeah, we got to the point of just kind of whoever was putting in, trying to put people's names in so that somebody'd get there, and I think that's how a couple of those top ones got there.
Yeah.
So there was definitely a recognition quite early on that if we don't just get some names in, we're going to lose people. So there was a desire to avoid that decision paralysis situation where decisions aren't made for fear of needing more data or something else, and you guys just said, right, we're going to write a name down because that's better than not writing a name down.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was it.
I don't agree, but yes.
What I noticed is that while there was people who opposed somebody being in, we had a lack of people following any, so it was hard to get a decision to be made.
Yeah.
So interesting. When I've played this game before, when I've observed this game play before, there's lots of different criteria that people use. You've demonstrated one of them, kind of value. Sometimes there's a ranking by age. There's kind of a perception that, the Jeffs, the Betty Whites they're a bit older, they've got less life to live, and therefore younger people should be saved. Interestingly, Chris, I'm going to ask you this one specifically, just because I know you're from the UK and you'll know who she is. But Katie White, was she high on your list?
Oh, Katie Price? No, it was low on my list.
Why was she low on
No,
your
very
list?
low on my list.
Why was she low on the list?
Why was she low? Just the fact that she's morally bankrupt is probably the right word. Okay. She's not overly a nice person generally. She's self-absorbed, and it's just no. The world's not. The world's not a better place with her in it.
But interestingly, the sole parent of a disabled child.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware of this. I am aware of that.
So there is that comes to play as well. Do you select people based on, those that are dependent on them? What would happen to Harvey in that scenario if she wasn't saved?
I feel guilty now. I feel guilty for Harvey now.
I'm not trying to pick on you or anything. I'm just highlighting there is different things that sometimes we don't think about when we're
pros and cons, absolutely.
And interestingly as well, there were people saying, who is Hirohito? Who is that person? A lot of you probably, some of you may not have known who a person is, and therefore it was difficult to make any strong opinion either way. But there wasn't much discussion about who people were, and obviously there wasn't much time for that as well. So you just kind of had to focus on who you knew, and then just get names down.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move you guys to the reflective part of this game. So we've already talked about some of these, but I'm going to bring everyone to here. So what challenges did we observe while playing that game?
Do we do it in silence, or
you can do it in silence, or you can talk out loud. I don't mind, but we're going to be spending kind of a couple of minutes on each section here.
Okay, I would say that there's like extremes of on both sides, because for example, if we don't make the decision, we lose, and if we like feel the pressure of the time, we also lose. And I think in the context of, for example, total cost of ownership, like more like in work setting, that also some like cognitive distortions and other stuff.
Absolutely.
Like avoidance of losing and so other fallacies, I would say.
Yeah, obviously we saw in that game that there is an opportunity cost. You make one decision, it comes at the cost of being able to do another decision. And sometimes, in the working world, that's true also. You choose something on the backlog, you work on that in a sprint, that comes at the cost of not choosing something else on the backlog. Sometimes, teams can get themselves stuck in this decision paralysis state where they won't work on something because it needs to be final or perfect or something to that effect, when actually that's allowing good to be the enemy of perfect and vice versa. It's stalling some progress because you think something should be perfect. Let's look at some of the other things that people talk about. So obviously there's persons unknown. That's natural as well. I guess you could apply the same scenario to a group of people who are trying to prioritize a set of tasks, and one person doesn't know the value behind a task, or they're trying to estimate a task and one person's never worked on that area of the code before, so it's difficult for them to estimate. And how do we get past that? Well, discussion. This is why we have refinement sessions. It's why we have a clear articulation of the vision, the outcomes sought behind something, and then we make sure or aspire to ensure that everyone understands before we proceed. Anarchy in communication, yeah, it was a little bit all over the place, and that's natural as well when you've got a brand new team, but also I imagine it was the time pressure which caused some of that anarchy. Let's say you were doing that same exercise and I gave you 5 minutes just to plan how you're going to do things first, and then 8 minutes to save people. I imagine that would have gone very, very differently. The 8 minutes would have been used, actually, right, we know what our selection criteria is going to be, rather than thinking, okay, now we've got to decide the selection criteria and the people at the same time.
I imagine that it could be better, but I've seen that it went, the same or even worse.
Lack of time to prepare. How many of you have experienced this in the working world? How many of you have been given a situation? Always, yeah. How many of you have been given, here, we need you to deliver this next week, and there's no time to understand it. You're just told to deliver it.
Yeah. This is like characteristic of companies without, goals, and in the utilization, resource utilization trap, I would say.
And then there's a theme around.
On the other side.
Yep, theme around too many voices. You're all speaking at once, which again can present challenges. And there was lots of differing opinions, but actually reaching decisions was kind of lacking. People were reluctant to commit to someone, and there was just lots of discussion. Okay, who should be next? And then you didn't agree, and then you lost the ability to save an extra person because of that decision paralysis.
Yeah, but I think that like most of the propositions were shitty, I would say. There was like there weren't like good choices.
Well, if it was,
I would say, and I wonder why was that.
If it was easy to decide, I could have put just all these heroic people that everyone loved and said, "Oh, you got to save these." There's got to be some conflict in there to emphasize some of the challenges we face when prioritizing. All right, so loudest person can win if we're not careful, and we probably heard a little bit of that too. So how have you guys experienced this in the working world, and how do you think you can prevent it happening? How do you quiet some of those loud voices, and how do you bring out the quieter voices?
Typical job of a Scrum Master, isn't it? To observe the room and facilitate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I tend to do with this is, if I hear the same voice dominating, I will thank that person for their engagement. Tell them, it's fantastic. We love hearing from you, but I'd like to hear from this person as well. And I might call out another person. I might ask one person to share their thought and then get that person to nominate the next person to speak. So it's not me selecting and asking for an update. I often use individual, silent working, where people just note down their own thoughts and then we speak afterwards. And that allows even the silent voices to get their points down before a dominant voice can influence the direction of the conversation. Any other thoughts from anyone there?
Sometimes I use liberating structures to settle
structures,
that.
Yeah. I like 1, 2 for all, particular favorite of mine.
One of these, or a tris, or other things.
Yeah, cafe conversation is good as well for some things.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can use breakout rooms for that same purpose. Were you saying something, Sebastian?
Like always, divide and conquer.
Yeah.
This applies to the groups, like big groups steal the energy, and smaller groups create the energy.
Okay, nice. So on the last one, what would you do differently? So we've have a product owner. I noticed no one stepped up to say, oh, I'll be the product owner. It was just kind of voices. Having more time, obviously, wouldn't we always love more time? And in every situation, wouldn't you love to have more time? I guess when it comes to having more time, all I would encourage people to do is share honestly with those pressuring to, with those giving you deadlines. Just let them know, right? For us to feel comfortable doing this, or for us to have a level of confidence that this is going to be the right solution, the right approach, we need a bit more time to understand it, rather than we just deliver you something that isn't quite right. And then just engage whoever's asking for something to a deadline frequently and show them progress as we go along. Start to build that trust, and hopefully over time they'll stop trying to force deadlines on you. I'm not a deadline person. The word deadline came from the American Civil War, where that was a line where there was a line drawn outside of a prison, and if anyone crossed that line trying to escape, they'd be shot. How that made it into the business language, I have no idea. I personally...
the number of times I get shot a day, that seems quite appropriate.
Well, there you go.
I would say, the history, if you look at the History Channel, where there's aliens and Bigfoot and other stuff, you have probably answer to it.
Quite possibly. But personally, I tend to subscribe to forecasts. I always encourage teams to say, right, here is the forecast we've got, and I encourage them to revise their forecast based on what they learn, and they can share, how confident they are about that forecast. But I try not to tell them don't use deadlines, because when we're in this fast-moving world, and where we're trying to work in Agile, for me, Agile and deadlines, they don't really go hand in hand. There are obviously some exceptions to that scenario. There are some examples of times where you might be given a deadline, and that's usually things that are very regulatory or legislation based. Those things, you're given a deadline, you have to adhere to it, and then you can kind of work backwards. And those are the cases where it makes sense, and that's only because you kind of have to do it. You're legally bound to. But in pretty much every other scenario, I always encourage use of forecast rather than deadlines. And then, yes, having a clear set of rules to prioritize quickly. And some of these were mentioned earlier on. So some of the techniques were Moscow. Who wants to talk us through Moscow?
I think it's must have, should have, could have, or something. I can't remember exactly what they are now.
Yeah, that's right. So it's just a very quick 3-category prioritization methods where you identify the must-haves, the should-haves, the could-haves. I guess it's a very simplistic way of doing things, but at the same time, my concern and experience with that technique is everything becomes a must-have, and it's really hard to get people to think of, actually this is more of a should-have rather than a must-have, and it's just it's one of those criteria. The same where I've seen companies prioritize things on a 1 to 10 scale, and everything becomes a 10 and nothing becomes lower than a 5. And it means that it's just a gamed system. No one will put themselves that something as a lower priority because they know it will never get done, and it just doesn't work. But it's one method of prioritization. Who wants to talk us through RICE? What do you mean by RICE? I actually don't think I'm familiar with that one, or it might be one that's forgotten.
That was coming from me. It's kind of the hot next thing next to the Kano method. If you know what is the Kano method. Kano method is very complicated one actually when you work there with the customer feedback and everything. But there you can rank it in the RICE. The R means reach, E is impact, C is confidence, how confident we are that we will deliver, and E is effort. And then you have the formula, and you can also put a weight on each of those variables, and then you have a real number, and this number becomes an order into product backlog.
Yes, I am familiar with this actually. Now you mention it, it's similar a bit, I guess, in some of the aspects to weighted shortest job first, WSJF, wherein you're again trying to focus on delivering the thing that delivers the most value in the shortest time. So there's an element of effort, there's risk reduction, opportunity enablement, there's time criticality, and business value.
Just this WSGF it's more complex than RICE. It's actually very simple and people friendly.
Obviously, impact mapping, story mapping, MVPs. I'm a big fan of using story maps and just kind of articulating a line across what an MVP really is. There's a game I like to use to demonstrate what MVP is called My Morning Routine. That's usually a bit of fun. I think I've had that in previous iterations of the arcade. Might come back again in the future. But yeah, I think that's the end of game 1. We've got about 45 minutes left, so we should jump into the next game, which, if I recall, is estimation, the paint your points game, which is down here. Ooh, I've just done something wrong. There we go. How many have we got now? We've still got 7. So I tell you, we'll do it as 2 groups of 3. I'm going to bring everyone to where we are. All right. So same as before. I always start any game by just understanding the context. So ways of estimating. Why don't you share your tools and techniques for estimating things? And again, good practices to think about when estimating. I'll set a timer here for 3 minutes. Add your thoughts in these post-it notes. And whilst you're doing that, I'm going to prepare the game's place. I'll tidy it up at least anyway. All right, so pretty much lots of, well, we've got no estimates, we've got story points, relative sizing, t-shirt sizes, time, again, another no estimates, magic estimation, and from Kanban, measuring your flow and using control charts for predictability. On the good practices, remember the estimates will be wrong. Comparing with previous work, not turning estimates into a Gantt chart, absolutely. The same team estimating should do the work, absolutely. An estimate is an estimate is an estimate is an estimate. always good to remember. It is an estimate. Using story points to challenge mutual understanding, but not as a scientific tool. Absolutely. An early estimation can guide the team on how much we need to know, reducing influence from others. An estimate is guessing. Very true. Last 30 seconds here, and then we'll play the game. All right. Time's up. Any additional ones added? Estimating its waste. Bold statement. Does anyone disagree with that?
I would not say that it's 100% it's waste. I would strongly argue against it.
Probably depends on the context and
Yes.
what problem it solves. But you know,
and the maturity of the team.
From the value it adds to the customer, it's a waste. It's sometimes necessary waste, but it's just a waste.
I mean, does a customer care what you estimate something? Do they care how many story points you attribute to something? Not really. From a customer's perspective, they couldn't care. They just want to see something working. They just want to capture some data. They don't care.
But there is a lot of customers
who 13 or.
There is a lot of customers who will ask all the time when it's done, when it will be done, when it will be done, and if you are not saying when it's done, I will not work with you. So.
Yeah, but depends on the context, and those aren't necessary customers, but some project managers
internal customers, even worse than the real ones. They're the ones turning things into the cat chart. That's my problem.
Yeah, and I'm talking about real customers that use your product and
We don't talk to them. What would we talk to them for?
Yeah, rubbish.
Interestingly,
what do they know? Product owner knows everything.
Interestingly, if there was one metric that I subscribe to, it's how often we engage with customers. I would rather a team speaks to their customers as frequently as possible, and they measure themselves and how often they speak to their customers, than they track their velocity or lead times and all that sort of thing, because then they're anchored to their users. They're regularly checking whether they're on the right path. To me, that's far more meaningful than just a velocity. And what frustrates me as well is when velocity becomes a target. I'm sure we've experienced that. Someone says, "Oh, you achieved 25 points a sprint. Well, you can try and go for 30 next time, can't you?" Or even this team's doing 25 points. Why are you doing only 20?
No, don't. You'll wind me up.
It happens, doesn't it?
I know. I'm in it. Your team is only doing 55 points. Someone said you could do 90 points a sprint. Why aren't you doing 90 points a sprint?
You can laugh here, and we know all those jokes. But if the life would be some easy, let's take some kind of bank or finance institution, and they are the nature of the work or the culture, and they will always ask for some kind of predictability. I am not speaking about the velocity increase, but the predictability, they need to calculate money. They need to put something in the budget or something like that, and it's not a full freestyle that we are just delivering frequently something, It's a perfect world, but we are not there yet.
And this is why I don't think story points should be abolished entirely. They are a good method for a team to understand their own capacity and achieve a level of predictability. That's what I like it for, especially for immature teams. Obviously, the more mature they are, then they may be able to move away from that and move towards the no estimates world. I'm not particularly a no estimates person, but there's nothing wrong. I'm not saying that a team can't be powerful and successful without it. All right.
I haven't found a team yet that can do the story splitting to do no estimates.
I think the no estimates is similar to the Kanban flow.
Okay. Right. What we're going to do is we're going to divide you guys up into teams of 3. So we're going to have a team Mario and a team Sonic. So add your names to those 2 teams now. what we're going to then be doing is each team's going to have its own space, and you are going to be estimating the effort to color in all of the shapes in both time and story points. Okay, so I need you to tell me how long you think it will take and what your story point estimate would be. You'll then be given sprints, time frames, a minute each to color in those shapes and get approval from me, the product owner, to say, yeah, I'm happy with that shape and that it meets its definition of done. After each sprint, after each iteration, you're going to be given 2 minutes to plan the next one. And then you'll be given, obviously, the next iteration. So you'll have a bit of time to retrospect and think about how things are going. And as we go along, I'll be noting down the number of points achieved. And we've got a bit of a, I'll show you, I'm just going to bring everyone to where I am quickly, just to show you. We've got a facilitation grid, just to share how we're getting along. It's here. So see, this has been set up to play with multiple teams in parallel, but we've just got the 2 today. So at the beginning, I'm going to separate you into 2 teams, which you've already done now. You're going to go to your own space, and then you're going to be given a bit of time to estimate the total time you think it will take to complete all of them, and the total points you think it is. And then you're going to go through sprints where you have to color things in. In each round, sorry, the definition of done, so essentially, there should be no white gaps on the shape, so it should be completely filled in, and there should be no coloring outside the lines. We've got to color in correctly here. Okay, so we should have Team Mario on the Team Mario space. We should have Team Sonic on the Team Sonic space. So make sure you're at that area on the boards. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
I think we've got, let's just double check. We've got Chris, Matthias and Sebastian in Team Mario. We've got Daniel, Jennifer and Yanis in Team Sonic. Okay, so you're on your space. I'm going to give you a few minutes now, 2 minutes, to think as a team and estimate the number of points you think it will take to complete all of them and the time you think it will take to complete all of them. So I'm starting the timer now.
I don't know how hard it is to colour in. I've never tried colouring in Mirror, and I don't know how grumpy our product owner is going to be.
I'm very strict.
Yeah, I thought as much. Playing these games before, usually the product owners are right. Doesn't tell you half the stuff he needs to tell you.
In fact, I'm just conscious you guys are going to be talking over one another and hearing others' estimates, so I'm going to send you into breakout rooms.
Okay.
I'm going to enable that. That will make things easier for you.
Thanks.
So let me set that up. It should appear at the top of your screen now. You should have... Oh, actually, I don't want to sign you guys. I just want to make it free. Top of your screen, it should be appearing now, the button for breakout rooms. There should be a little 4 squares, and it says main room. If you select that drop down, you can join Team Sonic and Team Mario accordingly.
Okay.
Best shapes would be the round ones without corners. Is it right?
I don't know. I missed that bit. It just says colour in shapes. I'm not sure which one's going to be the easiest to do. They're all going to be hard, I imagine, using anything
So
online.
Just a reminder, guys, I'm going to give you 3 minutes. You need to agree how many total points and how much time you think you'll do it in. If you were to do everything.
Everything.
So when I bring you back in 3 minutes, you should have 2 numbers for me: total time, total points. All right. See you soon.
Yeah.
Hey guys, just a reminder, you're going to have another 2.5 minutes left now, and then I'll bring everyone back to the same place. Once I bring you all back, you should have 2 numbers for me: total time and total number of points.
Okay.
Okay?
Maybe we can agree on the time, but not on the points, most probably.
See you soon. Good luck.
Yep.
Can see some teams, one of the teams practicing already. Okay, how are we doing? Does each team have 2 numbers for me?
Team Marion, I think, doesn't have like those 2 numbers.
All right, give me what you got. Just go for it.
We was wondering if what are the rules? Does, like, if you are not outside the border, but you colored a little bit of the border, is this okay, or is this like not enough in needs of quality?
For something to be considered done, it needs to be inside the lines and fully colored inside the lines.
Okay, so can you look, for example, at our board when we
Maybe the line
Team Mario.
Yeah, Team Mario.
Yeah.
The green diamond.
The green diamonds looks good from my perspective. That if I was to authorize that, I'd say that's okay.
Okay, that's helpful.
All right.
Then can we re-estimate then, please?
I'm gonna have to push you for an estimate now. I need a total time and a
we agreed at one shape and 20 seconds.
So what
something
was that?
like that.
I need a total time for all of the shapes.
All the shapes.
So
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Hour. 1 hour.
1 hour.
1 hour is better. Yeah.
All right. 1 hour. I hear some quick math going on there.
I have a side question. Does somebody dropped from the call or something? I think there's like
Can't see.
there were like more people like
No, we've had
3 minutes
we've
ago.
had 7 pretty much the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah. So 1 hour, and how many total points have you got, Mario? Team Mario?
100.
100? 100 points. All right, Team Sonic, how about you? Total time.
Sebastian, are you fine? We haven't talked about the points.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to push you. I need a number. Give me a number.
Okay, 100.
100 hours, 100 minutes. What's the situation? I need time.
100 units, like in relative.
Time, please. Give me time.
Are you a project manager?
I am your client in this scenario. I'm the one who pays you guys. Get on with it. Give me a number.
Was this the minutes number or the story point number?
No, this is the total time. Total time.
Total time. Team, were we putting minutes on there? Those were in minutes, right? I added them up to 48.
Those are story points, kind of.
Okay.
48. And what about total points? Just make something up. It's fine. Make something up.
1,000.
You're not Team Mario. No estimation on behalf of other teams. You're not doing the work, remember. We noted that earlier. The teams that are doing the work should do the estimation.
What value this adds for the client?
I feel story point escalation is going to be an issue here.
Just give me a story point number. What's the total number?
All right, I put the other number out to somebody else on the team.
All right, I'm just going to give you 95.
Guys, this is like simulation. You don't have to be right.
Exactly.
It's like,
this is just simulating, right? So
this is like the first, anti-pattern that you are like losing too much time on thinking on the right number.
Absolutely right. This is all a game. Remember. Okay. So hopefully you've now got an idea of how many story points each shape is, and if you've got a rough idea of time. You're now going to be given a minute sprint to try and deliver those story points. And then, as I said, they need to meet their definition of done. So no white gaps on the shapes, no colouring outside the lines. So what I need to do is I need you guys to, I think someone's already doing it, they're already deleting their numbers. Make sure you've made note of those or move them somewhere else because you'll need to then colour in those shapes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete any existing colouring on the shapes because that's not allowed before each round. Right, that's empty. Right, they're all empty. Okay, you've got clear boards.
Got it.
So, is everyone ready to do round one?
But are we in breakout rooms or we stay in the main room?
Just stay in now.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
So, Team Mario, what shape we are doing?
Sonic, same question.
Just grab some shape.
Maybe the diamond is because it's like easier.
Yes.
I'm going to focus on the circle, if that works. Somebody can come in with me or pick another shape. Oh, I broke my own rule.
So
Miro doesn't support like teamwork, I think, because the lines are after a delay, so it's not a real time thing.
Okay. 5 seconds.
Our diamond looks like shit.
All right.
okay.
Time up for sprint 1. Let's have a look at what we've got. Let's have a look at what we got. Team Mario, we've got, let me see, do I approve any of this? There is a little bit of white space on the Team Mario Diamond, so that one's not yet done, but it is inside the lines. So nothing signed off there. Team, yeah, there's still some white space on Team Sonic's Diamond as well, and the other ones are obviously who just completed that rhombus. That was definitely not done during sprint time.
We had slack time.
Also, there's like white space.
There is also white space, yeah. So nobody's delivered anything yet. So if I was to look at the board, round one remaining points, everything. So for both teams, there's 95 points left for Team Sonic and 100 points left for Team Mario. All right. And now I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to think about what you could do differently. Almost like a retrospective, to plan your next sprint. What could you do differently?
But that we do in breakouts, yeah? For otherwise it will be a mess.
I'm going to send you into breakouts, yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right. It should be opening now.
Got it.
We seem to have lost Chris as well, by the way, so one team is down a member.
So where's Chris? So I think we should not do little shapes altogether. Maybe we can start with other shapes as long as Chris doesn't delete what we've done there after one sprint, and we can continue there. I can't hear you. Your mic is off. Can you hear me?
I'm still here, just listening in.
Okay. So have you heard me, Sebastian? I can't hear Sebastian. Can you hear me?
Sebastian, try rejoining the breakout room, Sebastian. You seem to have lost audio.
You have to zoom in.
Yeah.
I thought I had it, but it looks like I didn't zoom enough.
I agree.
Maybe we all should work on one shape and then move to the next one.
Agree.
That will be then stop starting and start finishing approach.
Yep.
At least we will deliver
Do you
something.
mean you guys are going to swarm around the same object?
Yeah.
Focusing on finishing one. By the way, I have noticed that between the rounds, you guys have been filling in that shape. So you're cheating, working outside of sprint times. If I catch you doing it again, you'll be punished.
We are voluntarily doing overtime. Come on.
You're breaking the rules, guys. Come on.
Working late into the night.
Okay, I'm very firm on overtime. I believe in sustainable working practice, and I don't support it. So stop.
Okay.
But so team, the triangle and star, we can fill in with the shape very easily in 10 seconds.
Okay.
So triangle and star we can cover in next round easily.
I'm gonna bring everyone back to the main room.
Okay.
Okay.
So see you in a moment.
And then we work everybody on the same shape, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we've lost Chris at the moment. Hopefully he comes back shortly. Or have we? Is he back? I think Dan Hogg's joined, haven't you, Dan? possibly. Yes, so you've been given a couple of minutes to think about what you're going to do differently in the next sprint. As I mentioned, I did catch people colouring in between rounds and finishing objects. This is not tolerated. I'm not a person that supports unsustainable working practice. So I don't want people working overtime. Please stop. I will catch you out. So you're now going to be given another minute to try and deliver some story points. Everyone ready?
Team Sonic has cheated there. What is that?
I said I observed unsustainable working practices. So currently, I'm not considering Team Sonic's rhombus there, or is it rhombus or trapezium, to be complete yet.
You are a strange employer, I would say.
Yeah.
I know I'm a bit rare. I know I'm a bit rare, but I'm not for it.
Not ordinary. Not ordinary corporation.
Yeah. And this is why my company excels. There we go. You've undid it. All right. So you will be given another 1 minute in 3, 2, 1, go.
I take the circle, Sebastian.
So which shape?
Okay.
Okay, I think we decided on a triangle. Oh, star. Sorry. Okay.
All right, so someone's creating a star shape rather than colouring in and fitting it inside the lines. Interesting.
But nothing was in the rules that we cannot do it. So. And in Agile, we always challenge the rules and everything what is around it.
It's fair.
Doesn't make it easier.
I will help you. I will help you, Jennifer.
Thank you. I don't know my shapes. Yay!
I was about to say, Team Mario, are they working together? What's going on there?
Nope.
Nope.
We are like doing.
Time's up. Time's up. All right.
Everyone has, task, and we are working in silos.
Silo working. So someone was working on the circle, someone was working on the hexagon. Nothing there has met its definition of done, so no points delivered. Hang on,
yeah, but we finished the diamond.
Let me just check the diamond. I'll do a quality check on the diamond. Okay, I'm happy with the diamond now. Diamond meets definition of done, so you need to tell me how many points that was. And let's have a look at the other team. So we've got yeah, they're breaking the rules a little bit, aren't they? Because they're not really colouring in, they're just creating shapes over the top of things. But technically, it works. It's a strategy that works. So you've got 2 additional complete shape there. Alongside the diamond is now complete. So you've got 3 shapes. So how many points for Team Sonic were those 3 shapes?
7 in total.
7 in total.
Yes.
And Team Mario, what does your triangle represent? Diamond, sorry.
I would say 3. Is good estimate as any other estimate.
So you got 97 remaining out of all of your objects. All right. We're going to go into a final round, but again, I'll give you another 2 minutes to plan. So I'll send you back into breakout rooms, I'll bring you back, and then we'll do a final sprint, and then we'll discuss some observations and challenges through doing this estimation game. So breakout room should be on its way in a moment. Over to you.
All going well?
Yeah, it's all right. Lower numbers than usual. We had 7 in total, but we lost someone. Someone actually, one of my mentors joined, and he's disappeared. I'm not sure if he's had a connection issue, but we played the prioritization game, prioritization dilemma. Dalai Lama came first as always. No one cared about Katie Price. In fact, like there was a standard They were discussing too much without actually prioritizing anyone, so they only saved maybe 4 people. But that went well.
Fair enough.
And now we're playing, obviously, the Paint Your Points game.
Points.
Yeah, so we're just playing this final round, and then it'll be just discussion, any observations. Nobody has tried splitting any of the objects up yet, which is obviously something to point out. In fact, in the reflection at the beginning about good practices to remember when estimating, someone mentioned sizing things and splitting things up, and not a single person has done that.
Nice. Always
a good one to mention.
Always good to see that. Yeah.
I think I forgot to mention one of the rules, right? And one team has resorted to putting shapes over the top of existing ones so that they're instantly coloured in. But I've kind of let it slide because I think it's good ingenuity.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I'll
say this is a variety of learnings and different ways of taking things forward. So that's always interesting to see what people can come up with. And ultimately, no one's said you can't. No one ever sits there in a business and says you can't repurpose code. So why not?
I'm calling it a learning opportunity. It'll be interesting to see if the other team follows suit or just continues to do their own thing.
Fair enough. And yeah, I was going to join earlier, and then Tam decided it'd be a good idea for baby's first bath time, which went down so well.
Yeah,
so well.
Are we talking sarcastically well or actually well?
Sarcastically well. I was sitting there going, "Oh, I'll try and connect," and then it was just like, I can't even hear myself think with all the screaming. It's probably good if I don't don't try and join in because the dog's still not 100% comfy with her. So it's kind of like, well, we can't take her downstairs because he'll go ballistic. So we've got to keep her upstairs, which means we've got to be relatively close. So
no worries. So I wasn't expecting you to join anyway. So take some time with the family. I was going to congratulate you on that one, which I'll do in a moment. But
can do. See if I can get my camera working because I'm on the slow laptop today.
All right. Right. So we've had our final time to reflect before doing the final sprint. So hopefully people are full of ideas as to how they can make the next iteration better and try and deliver some of these story points. So again, you'll have a final minutes. Let's see what shapes we can come up with. Is everyone ready?
Of course.
Go for
it.
Time started. So someone from Team Mario is experimenting with the technique that Team Sonic have been using.
Very successful.
The successful technique. I like the use of rectangles there to create your cross shape. I mean, it's effective. It's getting results. This is basically you guys refactoring code, I guess, creating an efficient way of delivering in the future. Right, time's up. Let's have a quick look and see if any of these have met their definition of done. So, Team Mario, I'm happy with the... No, I'm not happy with the star. There's some white space. Sorry. Same with the pedestal looking shape. I can't think how to describe that right now. So no additional points delivered. Team Sonic. Okay, Arrow.
Hey, the star is fine, isn't it?
I'm looking at Team Sonic right now. Hold on. The arrow, the double arrow goes outside of the shape, outside the lines at the top left-hand corner. The cross it's got some white space on it, so that's no good. So the problem with this is it's quick and easy, but you're leaving errors. There's quality control issues here. Any other ones? Which other ones did you finish in this round? The circle?
The circle and the rhombus.
And the stop sign.
The circle's fine. Let's have a look at the rhombus again. Happy with the rhombus. Did you say a stop sign?
Yes.
Which one's the stop
The yellow,
sign?
The yellow stop sign.
Yeah.
That's not done.
Not quite. Close.
All right. Okay. Let's so that's the end of the final round. Let's just use the remaining time to do a bit of a debrief on this game. So I'm going to bring everyone back here. So what challenges do we observe whilst we were playing this estimation game? And again, feel free to note them down on post-it notes. Feel free to talk out loud if you prefer. Open forum.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The points didn't add much value to us, right?
Also, the sorry.
Why do the points have no value to you?
Because we didn't estimate, and we stick to the first estimations.
Yeah. So everyone was rushed to do their estimates at the beginning. Didn't feel they had a clear estimate, and then didn't really re-estimate. You just carried on. There was some underestimation. Any other challenges? We definitely saw some quality control issues.
We estimated without empirism.
No data. It was just chucking it out there.
No base estimating item to compare to, for example, if you want to.
So first 3 sprints to stabilize before we can trust estimates. Yeah, I tend to find it's kind of the 4 to 5 sprints is that magic number for me before a team finds what its velocity is likely to be. Everything up until then is a bit of an experiment, but still more data than they had previously. And no idea how to do the definition of done. Why so?
Yeah, I'm new to Miro and the tool and how to fulfill it with the VOD. And so I felt like a software developer from first grade.
Okay. What did we learn? Anything we learned here about prioritization? About estimating, I should be. Hold on.
Okay.
Start with the smallest and easiest.
Yeah.
So did anyone were people estimating in using a scale? So I guess from what I saw at the beginning, there was some element of numbers being used, and I think the consensus was the fleur-de-lis was the most complex shape, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was if you were to use that as a frame of reference, or something smaller and simpler like the diamond, that might have been your 1, with the fleur-de-lis being your 13 or your 20. So we've got relative sizing. I know that was mentioned at the beginning. Someone's mentioned here, really importantly, work in small batches all together. So it took a few rounds for people to start working on the same object.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with the smallest and easiest, yeah. Working together to finish. So was there? I don't remember hearing any point saying, "Oh, I've almost finished this shape, guys. Could you help me finish it?" So there wasn't a lot of communication throughout. What I did observe, and what I've seen with this game before, is one way to conquer this is to split the shapes further, break them into smaller pieces. So if you've got a complex shape, let's take the fleur-de-lis for example. You could have drawn a line across part of it and then filled the rest of that shape or the rest of that part, and then you could have delivered something towards it, and then you could have worked on the next one.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you could take a small item and copy the section that you just did and put it within a larger item too.
Potentially. But what you could have done, let's take the circle for example. Let's say that was difficult. You could have done that in half, and let's say that circle was 3 points. You could have cut it in half, finished half of it, got 1.5 points for that, and the PO would have signed that off, because that's still delivering some value. And it's better, if we take this to the software world, it's better to deliver something to a customer than not finish anything at all. Let's zoom really far out here, waiting for my Mario to catch back up now. Okay. here. Stop starting, start finishing. So we definitely observed that there were people starting with multiple objects rather than focusing on working together to finish off. So yeah, good observations. And if you were to do the same game, let's say you had another 3 sprints, what would you do differently? And just for reference, this game is just one example of a game you can use to introduce estimates to teams. There's another one I use which revolves around estimation of different types of things. So it begins with fruit and veg, and fruit and veg are very tangible. They're easy to, you can easily relatively size them. Then it goes into estimating the complexity involved in grooming certain dogs, and obviously adds another layer of complexity because you've got size, but also temperament and length of hair. And then you've got estimating the population of countries. And again, that's even more abstract because it's difficult to visualize the size of a country, let alone its population. Obviously, sometimes you've got a very large population in terms of very large country in terms of land mass, but low population and vice versa. And there's just lots of ways you can, or lots of interesting things you can introduce about the complexity involved in estimation there. Okay, so that's the end of the estimation game. So some good takeaways there. Again, stop starting, start finishing, smaller batches, working together. So the concept of swarming around something, and obviously using data to influence your estimates, trying to get some stability there, and then altering your estimates based on what you learn. As always, at the end of any of these arcades, always keen on the feedback from people that have joined. If anyone wants to use any of these games, we can make the boards available to you to use in Miro to run with your own teams as well. So do let us know. Let me quickly bring you to the feedback space so I can capture everyone's thoughts before we close. The next one of these is in a couple of weeks' time if anyone wants to come along. And by the way, my co-host for the Agile Arcade, Dan, has joined. He joined a little bit late. He's here. You can see him on camera now. I'd like to give him congratulations. He's just had his firstborn child in the past week. So I told him tonight, don't worry about coming along. But he felt like he wanted to come in and just listen in. So congratulations, Dan.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So as always, there's a few questions there. How would this session have been more useful to you? What went well in the session? What would you like to see more or less of? If you wouldn't mind sharing your thoughts, I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, until our next arcade session, I will bid you all adieu.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It was have some old heads, some regulars along, as well as some new attendees. I don't mean old physically, I just mean some regulars. And in the more or less of section, do let us know if there are any particular games you'd like to try in the future. I might experiment in a future arcade session, just doing a deep focus on a single game rather than trying to fit in 2 games, if that's preferable to people. I know it can cause some of the debrief sessions and maybe the introduction sessions a bit rushed if there's 2 games trying to be fit in, but it also, to be honest, it always depends on how many people turn up and whether there's connection issues and things like that, so it's kind of one of those difficult things to gauge, but it's worth an experiment if people would like that. Interestingly, someone's asked for the classical Agile ballpoint game. There is a version of that was actually part of this arcade today. That was the game of circles. Was that not listed on the?
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of similar a bit there. Yeah, but I'm still searching. Very nice to kind of. I really want to transfer one-to-one this experience with the ballpoint game to virtual. Yeah. And I have experimented with the names, with the post-it notes, with everything, but still have not found a very good solution of it. Super engagement and easy to play in Miro.
Okay. Yeah, so there is, I think it's actually on this board. Yeah, Game of Circles. is exactly that. It's a virtual version of the ballpoint game. Let me just take you there quickly and show you what it looks like.
Okay.
Perhaps this one will be played in a future arcade. It hasn't actually hasn't been played yet at the arcade. So you can see here the way this works is the team has to drag these little dots through into each of these numbered spaces on the grid target there. But they have to take turns in doing it. So let's say I was the person to move this yellow one into the first section. Another person would then have to move it into the next section, and then another person into the next section. And once it gets through all of the sections, it then has to be put into the right space, so the black or the yellow circle.
Yeah.
And the team has to get 3-minute sprints to do that. They've got to estimate how many they think they would do, how many they actually do, and then they get time to again, retrospect, plan their next one accordingly, see what they would do differently. So that's a close version I've seen so far for a virtual equivalent of the ballpoint game.
This one I have actually played, but I really struggle to implement this rule that you cannot pass to the neighbor. I really want to somehow simulate that rule. So the people are building circle or whatever, and you cannot pass the ball to the neighbor, because then it's kind of a little bit more complex and also a solution. I'm still trying to find that kind of thing how to implement.
Fair enough. Well, I'll keep a lookout and let you know if I find another one.
Thank you.
But that's
super.
All right, it's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you for playing. Thank you for joining the arcades. Hope to see you guys at a future arcades. Appreciate the feedback, and don't stop believing. That's my go-to sign-off rather than kind regards. So it's just a bit boring. So I always say don't stop believing.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Bye now.
Thank you.